Welcome to Shatter.
Help me reach 5,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. You only want me when you're horny, she scoffed. And that was the night something in me went completely silent. We were at Olive Garden, of all places. She was half posing for her Instagram stories, playing with her hair, laughing too loud at something Ethan, my camera operator, had said. I caught it through the reflection of a wine glass before I even turned my head. The way her hand lingered on his arm. The way he didn't move it away. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her. Really looked, like through the lens I used to capture strangers. She didn't even notice. She thought my silence was another form of weakness. But it wasn't. It was the beginning of my exit. On the drive home, she scrolled Amazon on her iPhone, adding throw pillows to her cart as if the air in the car wasn't heavy enough to choke on. I remember thinking how strange it was, how people decorate the spaces where love has already died. The next morning, we had a shoot downtown. Early light, empty streets, that soft blue before the city wakes. She looked stunning, of course. She always did when there was a camera around. Ethan was there, quiet, professional, pretending he didn't feel my eyes on him. Through my lens, I caught it. A reflection again, his hand brushing her waist between takes, a moment they thought no one saw. But I did. I saw everything. My finger stayed on the shutter. Click, click, click. Every frame colder than the last. By noon, I was done pretending. I adjusted the lighting, gave directions, but my voice had no warmth left in it. When she asked if I was okay, I told her I was just tired. That was true in a way. Tired of being convenient. Tired of existing in the background of her performance. That night, she came home late. Said she was with a client. I just nodded, poured myself coffee from the Starbucks tumbler she'd left on the counter, and went back to editing. The sound of her heels on the floor felt like nails against glass. I didn't ask where she'd been. I didn't care anymore. Something had shifted inside me, quietly, like a lens refocusing. I didn't know it then, but silence was going to become my language. And soon, she'd have to live inside it. Ethan started showing up earlier to every shoot. Said it was to prep the gear, but I knew better. She started arriving later, with that same soft laugh that used to belong only to me. The crew pretended not to see the tension, but I could feel it vibrating through the walls, through the air, through my pulse. I didn't confront anyone. I just started noticing the small things, their mirrored movements, the shared glances, the secret rhythm that formed between them when they thought no one was watching. I caught it in reflections again, mirrors, glass doors, puddles after rain. The world seemed to keep showing me the truth until it no longer hurt. One evening, we shot a campaign for a perfume brand. I was behind the camera, Ethan behind me. She was in front, posing like she was born to be adored. The way she looked into the lens used to make me feel something. That day, it didn't. She looked right through me, and I let her. When Ethan adjusted her hair between shots, his fingers grazed her neck a second too long. My camera didn't move. I didn't blink. I just kept shooting. The shutter's rhythm matched my heartbeat, steady, mechanical, distant. It was the moment I realized I was no longer inside my own life. I was documenting it. Later, she posted the behind the scenes on Instagram. Tagged me, tagged him. Dream Team, her caption said. Comments flooded in. Hearts, fire emojis, praise. No one saw what I saw. And that was fine. The truth didn't need an audience. That night, I stayed in the studio after everyone left. The city outside hummed with life, but inside, it was just me, the soft glow of my MacBook, and the quiet pulse of betrayal looping through my veins. I opened the raw files. Frame by frame, I saw it all play out again. The subtle shift in her eyes, the ghost of a smile when he was near, the way her body leaned toward his voice. It wasn't physical, not yet, but it was enough. It was already an affair of attention, and attention was everything to her. When I finally drove home, the streets were empty. Her car was already in the driveway, her Ford F-150 still warm from the engine. Inside, she was watching Netflix, curled under a blanket, pretending nothing had changed. She asked if I wanted to join her. I said nothing, just went upstairs, took a shower, and stood there under the water until I couldn't tell the difference between heat and numbness. That's how silence begins, not in a single moment, but in the slow, quiet freezing of everything you once cared to feel. A week later, the The truth arrived without warning. Not as a confession, but as an accident. We were shooting in a loft downtown, soft lighting pouring through the floor-to-ceiling windows. She was in a silk dress, barefoot, laughing as Ethan adjusted the tripod. I was testing focus on the monitor when the reflection on the glass wall shifted just enough for me to see it. His hand at her lower back, hers resting over it. A touch meant for no one else to see. The camera kept rolling. I didn't stop it. I let the lens collect the moment, unfiltered, unposed, raw. It wasn't rage I felt. It was stillness. A kind of quiet that presses down on you until you can't breathe, but you don't fight it. You just let it consume you. When the shoot wrapped, I copied the footage onto my hard drive and drove home alone. The drive felt endless, headlights flickering across the empty road, every mile pulling me deeper into something wordless. At a red light, I checked my phone. 2 new messages. One from her, "Don't wait up." The other from Ethan, a single line about tomorrow's schedule, casual and polite, like nothing had happened. I stared at the screen until it dimmed out. At home, I poured whiskey into a Starbucks mug because all the glasses were in the dishwasher. The absurdity of it almost made me laugh. She came home past midnight, the faint scent of perfume and something unfamiliar following her. She didn't notice the hard drive on the table, didn't notice me watching her remove her makeup in the reflection of the kitchen window. Everything about her looked rehearsed now. Every gesture, every breath. I spent the night scrubbing through the footage, frame by frame, moment by moment, dissecting the lie. My hands didn't shake. My eyes didn't water. I just watched until the footage turned meaningless, until their faces blurred into noise. Then I deleted it. Not to forget, but because I didn't need proof anymore. I had seen enough. The next morning, I didn't wake her. I left early, stopped by Walmart for some groceries, and sat in the parking lot for an hour without moving. I wasn't thinking about revenge or confrontation. I was thinking about how easy it is to vanish. How silence, when chosen carefully, can be louder than any word ever spoken. That was the morning I decided I'd disappear, not from her life entirely, but from the version of it where she still had access to me. I didn't leave her, not in the way people expect. I just started removing myself piece by piece, until there was nothing left for her to hold on to. I stopped reacting, stopped explaining. I became quiet background noise in a house that used to pulse with our energy. She noticed, of course, but too late. It began with small things. I stopped making coffee for 2 in the mornings. I'd pour mine into the same Starbucks tumbler and leave before she woke up. I turned off my phone during the day, ignored her texts, answered only with sure or okay. She kept asking if something was wrong. I told her no. That was the first truth I'd said in months, because what was wrong had already died. On set, I kept my distance. Ethan tried to fill the silence, over-explaining technical details that didn't matter. She overperformed, smiling wider, posing harder, desperate for my attention. The more she tried, the calmer I became. It drove her mad, that I could be in the same room and still feel unreachable. She started showing up at the studio unannounced, wearing the same smile she used when she wanted something. Once, I caught her scrolling through my messages while pretending to check her reflection in my monitor. I didn't say a word. I just powered the MacBook off and walked out. That's the thing about silence. It's not absence. It's control. At night, I'd sit in my car outside the house, watching the windows glow with TV light. She'd be inside, scrolling, pacing, performing for no one. I didn't want to see her break. I just wanted her to notice the vacuum I left behind. The way attention, once withdrawn, takes the air out of a room. Ethan stopped coming by as often. Maybe guilt, maybe fear. She pretended not to care, but I saw the panic set in. The way she'd check her phone every few minutes. The way she'd dress up for no reason, just in case someone, anyone, was watching. That's when I understood something brutal. She didn't cheat because she loved him. She cheated because she needed to be adored. And when my silence took that away, she didn't know who to be anymore. By the time she came home one evening to find the house spotless, my gear gone, and my truck missing from the driveway, she finally realized I hadn't left in anger. I just stopped showing up where I wasn't respected. I didn't block her number. I didn't delete her. I just stopped responding. That kind of silence is worse than rage. It forces people to hear their own echoes. For the first few days, she texted constantly. "Are you okay?" Turned into "Where are you?" then into "we need to talk." Eventually, the messages stopped. That's how you know someone finally starts to understand the weight of their own actions, when they run out of words. I stayed in a rented studio loft across town. It was small, barely furnished, just a mattress, my gear, and my MacBook. I liked the emptiness. It felt honest. I started working again, portraits mostly, strangers on the street. Real faces, unposed, unfiltered. There was something pure about capturing people who didn't crave attention. One night, as I reviewed new shots, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Ethan. He didn't say much, but the guilt was thick in his voice. Said he'd left her, that it wasn't worth it. I didn't respond. I just listened to him breathe until he ran out of courage and hung up. That was the only closure I needed, watching someone else drown in the silence I had already learned to swim in. A few days later, I saw her name again, not on my phone, but on my feed. She'd posted a photo from one of our old shoots, the same shot where I'd first caught their reflection together. The caption read, "Some moments stay forever." The comments were full of praise. No one knew what that photo really was. I almost smiled. By the end of the week, she showed up outside my studio. I saw her through the window, standing there in the rain, mascara streaked, trying to look composed. I didn't go out. I just watched from inside until she finally left. The puddles reflected her like an unfinished portrait, half beauty, half regret. I didn't hate her. That surprised me. Hate would have meant I still cared. What I felt was distance, measurable, clean, permanent. That night, I went out for dinner alone, at the same Olive Garden where it had all started. I ordered the same wine she used to love, just to see if it still tasted the same. It didn't. It was quieter somehow. Somewhere between the first sip and the empty glass, I realized the truth. She wasn't my loss. I was hers. And that's the kind of silence no one recovers from. It took her 2 weeks to realize I wasn't coming back. Not in the way she remembered me. She started showing up at the places I used to go, coffee shops, photo studios, even the old Walmart parking lot where I'd sometimes sit to clear my head. Friends told me they'd seen her asking around, pretending it was coincidence. But nothing about her was ever unplanned. Meanwhile, I stayed quiet. I didn't post, didn't reach out, didn't react. Silence became my armor, and in a strange way, my art. I started working under a different name, taking private shoots, portraits of people who didn't know me, who didn't ask questions. I liked that. Each frame felt cleaner, sharper. The world looked different when you stopped needing anyone to look back. Then it happened. Someone from a fashion agency reached out for a collaboration. They'd seen my recent work online and wanted to feature it in an exhibit. The irony wasn't lost on me. The very detachment she once mocked in me was now the thing people admired. "Your photos feel like they're watching you back," the curator said. I just nodded. They were right, because I'd learned to shoot like a ghost. Present, but unreachable. A few days before the exhibit, she texted again. A long message this time. Said she missed the real me. Said she wanted to talk just once. I stared at it for a long time, but didn't reply. I didn't need to. She was already talking to the silence I'd left behind. At the exhibit opening, the gallery was full, soft jazz playing, glasses clinking, the hum of polite admiration. My work lined the walls, strangers, reflections, isolation captured in motion. She walked in halfway through, wearing that same practiced confidence, scanning the room for me. When her eyes landed on one photograph, the one of her from that last shoot, framed in cold light, she froze. The image wasn't cruel. It was honest. That's what made it unbearable. People whispered. They recognized her. Not because of fame, but because of the story written on her face. You could see the moment she realized the photograph wasn't about her beauty, it was about my absence. She didn't stay long. When she left, she didn't look back. But I did. Just once. Not with longing, but with clarity. The kind you only get when you finally understand that some people were never meant to stay. They were only meant to teach you how to disappear without dying. After the exhibit, I thought the story was over. But endings have a way of circling back, testing whether your silence is real or just a performance. A month later, I got a call from a mutual friend who still worked in the same production circle. He said she'd fallen apart. No one wanted to book her anymore. The agencies whispered that she'd become difficult, unreliable. In this industry, those words are death sentences. I didn't feel satisfaction, just distance, like watching a storm from behind glass. I knew she wasn't being punished. She was just facing herself for the first time. Attention had always been her oxygen. Without it, she was suffocating. One evening, I stopped at Target to grab some supplies for a shoot: batteries, a lens cloth, a few candles for the set. While waiting in line, I saw her face on a magazine cover near the register. The headline said, "The Fall of a Star." I didn't buy it. I didn't even pick it up. But I stared for a moment at the photo they'd used. It was one I'd taken. The irony stung a little. Her downfall was still wrapped in my art. Later that night, she called. I almost didn't answer, but something in me wanted to hear her voice again, if only to confirm it no longer had power. She sounded small, fragile, not like herself. Said she didn't sleep. Said she kept replaying that exhibit, staring at her reflection in my photograph, trying to find the woman she used to be. I let her talk. Every word was an echo in a room I no longer lived in. Then she asked something that caught me off guard. She asked if I ever missed her. I didn't lie. I told her I missed who I thought she was. There was silence on the line, long and heavy. For the first time, she didn't try to fill it. She just breathed, quietly, and said she understood. Then she hung up. That was the real break. Not the cheating, not the distance, but that one call where she finally spoke without trying to perform. That's when I realized she wasn't my enemy. She was a mirror I had finally stopped mistaking for love. When I put my phone down, I didn't feel loss. I felt balance. The silence that used to ache now felt calm, clean. Like the click of a camera when you know the shot is exactly right, and there's nothing left to fix. It had been almost 3 months since that last call when I saw her again. I was working a private shoot for a brand campaign, something clean and minimal. I'd learned to choose my projects carefully, nothing too loud, nothing that required pretending. When I walked onto the set that morning, I didn't expect her to be there. But she was. Not the star, not the center, just another model filling space. For a second, our eyes met. She froze, just slightly, like someone catching a ghost in daylight. I didn't flinch. I simply nodded to the producer and started setting up the lights. Ethan wasn't there this time. I'd heard he'd moved to another city, chasing something new, or maybe running from the wreckage. She was on her own now. The shoot was quiet, professional, distant. Every direction I gave her was short, technical. Turn left. Hold it. Look away. No warmth. No edge. Just work. I could see it in her eyes. The confusion. The flicker of something like panic. She was used to attention as currency, but mine was bankrupt. She wasn't performing for me anymore. She was performing for survival. During a break, she walked over, holding a cup of coffee, trying to smile. Said it was good to see me again. I nodded once, but didn't answer. My silence seemed to echo louder than words ever could. She looked down, fidgeted with the lid, and finally said, "You're different." She was right. I was. I wasn't hers anymore, not even a little. When the session ended, she lingered as the others packed up. I could feel her watching me, waiting for something. Anger, softness, anything. I gave her nothing. I finished wrapping the gear, loaded it into my car, and started the engine. She stood there in the doorway, motionless, as I drove off. The rearview mirror caught her face for one last second, small, tired, unsure. That night, I edited the photos alone, surrounded by silence and the faint hum of my computer. Her shots came out flawless, technically perfect, but empty. There was no light in her anymore. Just form. Just the surface. I stared at the final image, the one the client would choose, and it hit me. She wasn't my subject anymore. She was my lesson. And I had finally learned how to frame distance so cleanly that even regret couldn't touch it. After that day on set, I thought she'd fade out of my world again. But people like her don't disappear quietly. They orbit you until there's nothing left to pull. 2 weeks later, I got an email from the brand manager asking for final approvals on the shoot. Attached were the edited photos, and one of them stopped me cold. It wasn't the one I'd submitted. It was one she must have sent herself, retouched, filtered, her skin glowing unnaturally, my lighting erased. She'd rewritten the image, rewritten my truth. That was when I understood she wasn't chasing me anymore. She was chasing the version of herself that used to exist when I looked at her. Without my gaze, she had no mirror left. I didn't respond to the email. I just closed my laptop and sat there for a while, staring at the blank wall. Silence again, clean, still, absolute. That night, I drove out to the coast. It was late, maybe midnight. the road almost empty. I stopped at a Waffle House off the highway, ordered black coffee, and watched the neon reflection in the window. There was something peaceful about being invisible. No one in that diner knew who I was, or who she was, or how loud love can die. I liked that anonymity. It tasted like freedom. Somewhere around dawn, my phone buzzed. It was a message from her, short this time. I finally see it. I didn't reply, but I understood. She wasn't talking about the photo. She was talking about the silence. About the space I'd built where she no longer had a script. Over the next few days, I heard things through mutual contacts. She'd stopped showing up for castings. Her social media went dark. The same people who once chased her attention were now pretending they'd never known her. That's how it works. When the spotlight moves, the crowd disappears. I didn't celebrate it. I didn't pity her either. I just existed. I spent my mornings editing new projects, my nights walking the city with my camera. For the first time in years, I wasn't documenting pain. I was just observing life. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of someone laughing, a stranger's face lit by passing headlights, and I'd think about her. Not with bitterness, not even nostalgia, just awareness. That some people are meant to burn through your world only once, leaving just enough light for you to see who you were without them. Months passed. The world moved on, and so did I, quietly, deliberately, without the need to announce it. My work started getting noticed again, but this time for something different. People said my photos felt untouched, like they were honest in a way that made them uncomfortable. I liked that description. It meant I'd finally stripped the noise out of everything, including myself. One afternoon, I was driving back from a shoot when my phone buzzed. It was a message from her. Just one line, "Can we talk?" I almost ignored it, but something made me stop the car. I sat there for a while, the engine idling, the world humming softly outside. Then I typed, "Sure." We met at a small diner near the river, the kind of place that smelled like coffee and old wood. When I walked in, she was already there, sitting by the window. No makeup, no performance, just her. For the first time, she looked human, tired, but real. She said she'd been trying to fix things, not between us, but inside herself. She'd quit modeling, started therapy, cut ties with the people who'd once fed her ego. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She just said she finally understood what she'd done, not to me, but to herself. She looked at me like she was waiting for a reaction, a spark, anything. I gave her calm, nothing more. When she asked if I hated her, I told her no. Hate was too heavy to carry. I said I didn't disappear. I just stopped showing up where I wasn't respected. She nodded, eyes glassy but steady. That was the moment everything settled. No revenge, no closure speech, just truth, quiet and unshaken. As we walked out, the sun was setting over the water, light flickering across the glass. For a brief second, it felt like the world was balanced again. She turned to say goodbye, and there was no tension left, only silence that didn't hurt anymore. I got into my car, started the engine, and watched her fade into the crowd. Not as the woman who broke me, but as the lesson that built me. And for the first time, I didn't need a camera to capture it. Some moments don't belong in frames. They belong in memory, untouched, unspoken, complete. Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories.